Welcome to Technocracy News, your host Patrick Wood. I'm your co-host Logan House. Our first article today is DOGE failed to save money but excelled at spreading AI everywhere. Then we are going to revisit selling us rope. Palantir is raking in billions from Washington. TSA to privatize touchless biometric digital ID at airports. And lastly, we have 2026, the year of the humanoid robot. Patrick, how you doing?
Here we are. Yes, indeed. We're talking about technocracy once more.
Yeah, exactly. So the first one is DOGE failed to save money, but excelled at spreading AI everywhere. And even though that Elon's not around, it's still going on.
Elon is still around. He's just not in the news. That's all. He's already done his skullduggery, and he can bow out at this point. But he made his impression, and fingerprints are all over DOGE still to this day. Mm-hmm. And he planted people from Palantir in positions of power around all of these agencies. So crazy stuff for sure. But this article, is a short one, says basically that DOGE hasn't saved any money at all. Well, a little bit, maybe $1 billion, but that's less than 5% of what they promised in the first place. And that was within 6 months of taking office, right?
Yeah.
What happened? Well, maybe it was never about money in the first place. Didn't I say that basically from the get-go?
Yeah.
It was all about hooking up the data flows to AI, right? So step one in DOGE was first to spring the data from these agencies in the government, make it available in the cloud so that Palantir could come in and scoop up all that data in one big database, if you will. And all of a sudden, you have the total intelligence grid is absolutely stunning, I think.
So it says here, out of billions in contracts that were canceled under DOGE, Politico could only verify a fraction of them. So were they just lying about the contracts that were being canceled, or were they being moved over somewhere else? That money was being moved over somewhere else, or what? Do you know what was going on here?
Well, it sounds to me that the promised savings mostly were from people that getting fired and laid off. Mm-hmm. And then there were some agencies that got hammered for sure, but the promised savings in the first place was they were talking like $1 trillion. And at this point, they haven't even come close. So if they've achieved 5% of that, it would be stunning, but they haven't. This whole operation was basically about the stealing the data from all these agencies and moving it into the cloud. That was step one. Step two was to unify all that data with a master intelligence system supplied by Palantir. Palantir's fingerprints are all over this, and I just guarantee you that Elon Musk was in touch with Palantir along the way to coordinate this whole thing. And this is evidenced by all the ex-Palantir employees that Elon Musk appointed to suck the data out of the agencies in the first place. Makes sense, right? So he never talked about those connections that he had from Palantir, but you have to remember Elon Musk was a co-founder with Peter Thiel on PayPal back in the day. They've been friends forever, business associates forever. And people have criticized them. Well, maybe they're not good friends anymore. But this is not about being a friend. This is about technocracy.
Yeah.
This is about the coup d'etat.
Working together for a common end goal.
Exactly. So at this point, I need to talk about this business of data fusion. This is a term you'll see floating around. And you remember that there's a concept of the fusion centers that were established by Homeland Security around the country.
Yeah.
They were in all the states, and some states have more than one. But the point of the fusion centers, they said, was just to collect some information about threats, national security threats, that sort of thing. But that was not the point of fusion centers in the first place. Fusion is a data processing term. You can't interpret it any other way than just a simple data processing term. What it means is when you have different databases, say you have the DMV, that's driver's licenses stuff on one hand, and then you have tax information on the other hand. Well, those databases don't match, right? Because you can't make any sense of it if you have a database reader that can read the data on your license plates or your license driver's license. They can't do anything with the other database and like tax information. So what data processing does is fuse these databases together in a common format where it can be read by a single program. This is the function of Palantir, to come in and unify all of these databases in the government to make them readable from a single point of view. This is data fusion. And sometimes you have to actually manufacture data. If a key doesn't exist in one file or another, you have to manufacture that data to make it fit. Well, this is the mastery that Palantir brings to the table. It's absolutely stunning what they've done with this business of data fusion, and I hope that makes sense to people. Because it is, and unless you kind of understand that data processing term, you can't understand what's going on here. But first, Elon Musk freed up the data flows from the agencies, sent them into the cloud. Then they were waiting for some other program to come along, apply data fusion to all of that, and make it one big happy database of all the information in the world about you and me.
Yeah. Well, basically in the name, it's fusing all the data into one big database instead of having it in all these separate agencies.
That's right. And this makes sense. If you understand the term fuse or fusion, it makes sense. This is why Homeland Security established those fusion centers around the country a few years ago. It was all about fusing the data from the states into one common feed, and at this point, that's been a very, very rich source of information for the federal government as well. So data in the states, and you imagine, well, you have Department of Economic Security data, you have Medicaid data, you have driver's license data, all these different databases. The police departments, they have all their own schema for their databases and so on. The purpose of the state fusion centers was to combine that together, all of that together, and make a common schema to read the whole thing. Now you have this is happening on a national scale. So basically what's happened to us here, this is a heist of the millennia at this point, that you can't look at it any other way if you see what's going on. Palantir has swooped in with a major big contract with the government to make sense of all these data feeds from the agencies, and that this is their goal. This is their mission at this point, is to take all these data feeds, put them together one continuous database, so that you and me can be spied on or controlled or whatever. This is the control mechanism that they need to have in place before this concept of stable coins and crypto and all that stuff gets put in place. This has to be here. But you can see it's happening in this first 6 months of this administration. It's been stunning, the speed that they put this together.
So basically, to summarize, they've taken all the data sets from all the different agencies, states, and they've merged it all into one, and now Palantir is going through and trying to make it searchable and categorizing and all of that stuff, correct?
Well, that's part of the process. The first process that they go through is to make sure that those different databases can be accessed in the first place. Mm-hmm. That's the fusion process. Palantir has they figured out how to do this on the fly. So they can take any type of information, even videos and social media posts. It doesn't matter where the data comes from. They can do this using AI on the fly to make everything appear as one database. So if a new source of information comes in, for instance, if they want to mine the social media, to add that to your profile, they can do that without any effort at all. So Palantir, the first thing they do is survey all the databases, the source of data that they have, and then apply their sophisticated intelligence apparatus on top of that to make it all look just like it's one big, happy database.
Wow. Well, we're at a break. We'll be back here in just a moment with more on this story.
Better science leads to better outcomes. So by understanding the science in much more intimate detail, delivering a value product that is so different from anybody else.
So when we're stepping outside into seasonal changes, low humidity, sunlight, pollution, all of these things get communicated as stress on the top layer of skin that produces free radicals, and they're bad news for collagen networks. They're going to break down the collagen network and collapse that beautiful tensile strength of your skin. And so that's how we end up with fine lines and wrinkles. Bella Grace is really an elevated formula.
Better than the competition for very obvious reasons. First of all, we're delivering great collagen. We're delivering Verisol, which is the world's most studied form of collagen. So we're starting at a foundation that's really top-notch.
So here is a lady today. She's taking the elixir, arthritis in her hands. She could not close her hands and make a fist, but after now being on the elixir, now she can.
The real breakthrough discovery, particularly with the cat's claw, is a switch that regulates genes. There's thousands of genes that are involved in that inflammation process. When you have chronic inflammation, the problem is the switch is on and it's not being turned off. And so what's happening with the cat's claw is that it removes that little protein switch off your DNA, and the genes go back to a dormant state, and you go back to being, well, really healthy.
When at first we wanted to just have an amazing collagen ingestible product to be able to set the skin up so that my wife, Christina, could come behind that with incredible skincare. And that's exactly what we're still doing. What we weren't anticipating was the magnitude and just the vast amount of benefits that this elixir was going to do for people. Testimonies started flooding back in. About probably 30% of the testimonies were about hair, skin, and nails. The others were about people being able to walk up their stairs again, people being able to open their hands in the morning without having to do heat therapy, people being able to sleep better, athletes before and after recovery, and the energy levels that people were having. So we realized that this is so much more than just a collagen ingestible product, which it certainly is that at the highest of levels. We've even had so many people in the health and wellness world say this is legitimately, Brian, the number one, the best health and wellness product that's ever been introduced. And I would say probably the only negative here with Bella Grace and this elixir is that it sounds too good to be true, but it really is true.
Bella Grace Elixir, a scientific breakthrough with over 80 clinical trials. Visit melissahousebg.com to discover Bella Grace Elixir and the full range of Bella Grace products.
Are the most loving, God-fearing, fair, least discriminatory people on the planet. And they want to know that if you're waking up and thinking about harming American citizens, or if American citizens are taken hostage and kept in dungeons, or if you're a foreign power sending fentanyl to poison our people, something really bad is going to happen to you and your friends and your cousins and your bank account and your mistress and whoever was involved. And, you know, when Americans are spending $1 trillion on defense, what I want and what I think my peers want is, why are these people keeping our citizens hostage, torturing our people, attacking our allies, maligning us in what was once called the United Nations, basically a discriminatory institution against anything good? We need to stand up, and those people need to be scared. And that's why this conference is so important, because we have the best products in the world, and we cannot have parity. Our adversaries do not have our moral compunction. If it's even, they will take advantage of our niceness, kindness, our desire to be at home in Nebraska or New Hampshire or wherever we live in our peaceful environments. And they need to wake up scared and go to bed scared. And if you give that to the American people will go back and say, and honestly, probably shouldn't say this is why I thought the Democrats were going to lose the election, why they did, because people want to live in peace. They want to go home. They do not want to hear your woke pagan ideology. They want to know they're safe. And safe means that the other person is scared. That's how you make someone safe. And the average American person understands this. Unfortunately, many of the intellectually captured institutions, funneled and intellectually owned by the Berkeley faculty, do not. And that's what they want. It's sure as hell what I want. And that's what Palantir and all the people in this room, I hope, we're here to serve the American people. And my version of service is the soldiers are happier, the enemies are scared, and Americans go back to enjoying the fact that we're the only one with a real tech scene in this country, and we're going to win everything. That's how I see it.
Okay. Can you spot the fallacy in his statement, sir? This is Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir, talking. He was talking at the Reagan Institute recently, I think. So how do you read his statement that Americans want to be safe, and that's all? I lost your video or your audio.
Sorry about that. I would say that's definitely not their goal. And what I would ask too is who's the enemy? Who's making us, who are they going to say is making the American people not safe? Who are they trying to scare?
Exactly.
Is it is it another country, or is it American people, American citizens?
Exactly. Who are the hostages, for instance? Are there any hostages around the world at this point? I don't think so. Maybe there's one or two in Israel or in Gaza. I don't know, but this is a false statement as far as I'm concerned. He's pumping this idea of safety, but we don't want to be safe. There's no guarantee that anybody in this country is going to be safe, other than they can protect themselves. Perhaps they should, because if you have a criminal come to your house or assault you or whatever, if they want to kill you, you're going to be dead before the police arrive in the first place. So is he talking about stopping crime? No. Is he talking about the soldiers feeling safe in their foxholes around the world? No. Well, I don't want my soldiers I was in the military, by the way, once upon a time. I don't want those soldiers feeling safe anywhere. If they're on the battlefield, they need to be scared, they need to be alert, and they need to be fighting machines.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not here to make them feel safe. So his whole concept of liberty is so twisted. He's just absolutely off the wall. And he got a great applause from his statement there.
Yeah, and they always use safety, right?
Yes, this is the only goal, is to make people feel safe. We don't want to be safe. This is not a guarantee that we ever had in the Constitution, and there's no public mandate to feel safe.
And really, what he's trying to do there is scare us. He's presenting there's a reason to be scared, so you need us to make you safe, right?
Well, yeah, and he basically said, well, we Americans, you Americans, you so concerned. You're nice. You wouldn't hurt a fly, and you're not able to defend yourself in the first place. He's schmoozing everybody at that point, but then he turns around and says, you're so stupid you can't defend yourself in the first place. So we're going to make sure that you're safe.
Yeah, and you'd think we ought to learn from this with the Patriot Act, right?
I
Americans
know. So
are the most.
Let me give you just a couple of snippets now on what Palantir has done just this year with the Trump administration. They've secured a $10 billion Army software and AI contract over 10 years. $10 billion over 10 years. That's a nice stipend. $1 billion a year for 10 years. That's number one. Then they had another contract come in for $1.3 billion for other military operations. Then they got involved with these data fusion projects that we just talked about in the first segment here. Multiple sources are confirming Palantir's leading role in developing a mega database that cross-links IRS taxpayer data with other government data sets. A project linked to the Department of Government Efficiency, that's DOGE, overseen originally by Elon Musk and stacked with ex-Palantir staff.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Can you see the coup here?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is so over the top. I can't believe that, especially the MAGA crowd, they should be going nuts right now.
Yeah. If this was Kamala who won the election and these people were doing what they're doing now, it would be outrage.
I know. Here's an interesting fact. The people who are complaining about Palantir right now, it's not the MAGA crowd. It's certainly not the people in the Trump administration. You won't believe this, but one of the leading critics of all the stuff we just cited, AOC from New York, Democrat, left-wing wacko. How can she see this and be critical of Palantir? She's demanding clarity on the company's contracts amid fears of mass surveillance and violation of Americans' privacy rights. What? Yeah. So AOC all of a sudden is taking the position that we would like to take, what MAGA should take at this point, stop these people before they take over the whole stinking country.
Yeah.
It's
and
crazy.
I didn't see that on my bingo card for the day.
I know. I know. I would like to name my book. I probably won't for a number of reasons, but I would like to make the name of my new book coming out just Betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
Betrayed. Because all of America at this point has been betrayed. Even the Democrats realize at this point. The MAGA crowd, they're going to figure out eventually what happened to them. But we've been betrayed on every single level of this whole thing.
And what is the goal behind all this data for Palantir? Is it for control?
Control, yes. Yes, this is an it's an intelligence agency privatized, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
You remember they started out with the CIA. The CIA funded them in the first place, Palantir, when it started. The first client was the CIA. They were the ones that gave the schema and the instructions to build the system in the first place. So the CIA was behind the whole thing in the first place. Now they're not here now. You don't see them in the background, but you know for sure their hooks are in this whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, and what you were talking about earlier with the databases and the fusion centers, how you could even tie in social media to your docket, where then when they roll out some type of digital currency or stable coin, then they could, if they had your social media tied to it, if you post something that doesn't align with what they like, then they can just turn your spigot off.
Exactly. They couldn't do this without AI, by the way. AI is absolutely integral to this process.
Yeah.
Because there's no time to set up a fixed in stone coded database schema to make this work. It would not work that way at all. You have to have AI doing this on the fly and then presenting the information for the sake of the control grid.
Wow.
Yeah.
But we had two other stories, but we're not going to get to them.
I know. Well, next time.
Yep. Next week. We'll cover them next week. We'll be back on Tuesday with another episode. Till then, God bless.
God bless.